Don Jamieson here, the iconic comedian. I appreciate you coming on, like I say. So, day 2 of the Zakk Sabbath tour. I guess we'll talk about it. We know you have experience with Zakk, like you said, from Jersey, from that metal show. How did you, I guess, get connected with Zakk, and then how did that lead to this project?
Well, we always knew Zakk from the local scene for years and years, and then, boom, like '87, man, he's joining Ozzy.
Yeah.
And everyone was so proud. It was like somebody from New Jersey was really hitting the big time, and lost touch over the years, but then, reconnected when he was doing Black Label, and I do the jokes about him not showering and stuff, and which are all true, but going to a show and seeing all these girls want to take pictures with him, and then he puts his arms around them, and they're like, ugh, you can see their face. They're like, yeah, maybe this wasn't a good idea. But just always, as a comedian being in the hard rock and metal world, I always loved that those things could mix, and when we started doing that metal show in America, that was the ultimate validation. Like, we can do this and make it fun. And then as that show got more popular, bands started asking me to go out on the road and open. And I was like, I used to love that when comics would open for bands, but nobody did it for years. So I started doing it again, and here we are with Zakk,
Wow, that's so cool. So what was the first group you ended up opening for?
First band I think I opened for was Twisted Sister.
Wow.
But the trick was, it was their Christmas show in New York. So it's more of a family show.
Yeah.
So Dee was like, listen, before you go on, this is 5 minutes before I'm about to go on,
right,
in front of 2,000 people. He goes, no cursing.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I go, Dee, I learned how to curse on stage from you.
Yeah, kind of cuts into the material.
Because a lot of my comedic influences are actually lead singers.
Right.
He goes, but there's families and stuff like that. But of course I went out there and I was filthy, dirty, and people laughed. And I got done, and he was down in the dressing room, and he didn't watch, luckily. He goes, how'd it go? I go, oh, no, it was good, all PC, very clean, Dave Coulier. No worries, it was great.
Seinfeld status.
Yeah, right. And then it went from there, and Metallica then asked me to be on their Orion Fest, and we've just been rolling from there. So I still play the comedy clubs. I do a different set for them, but I've developed what I call the sex, drugs, and rock and roll set.
Nice.
for this audience. And for a comedian, I love bands so much, but I'm not musically inclined enough to be in one. Yeah. So this is second best. I get to ride on the bus, go from town to town,
right,
with bands, but it's just, I don't have any of the drama of being in a band.
Right.
Because it's just me.
And you get to actually watch the sets as well, which is, of course, a perk, right? Because you're a metal fan.
That's the thing. It's like when I get these offers to go out, I got to like the band.
Yeah.
Because when I get done, what am I going to do? I'm going to go sit on the bus?
Seriously.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I get to watch Black Sabbath songs on steroids every night.
Yeah.
This is amazing, And that's how it's been with all the bands I've toured with. I like them, so I want to go out and watch and hang out and have a good time. So, yeah, this really is a thrill for me. Most comics are terrified to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them, but I love it.
And speaking of that, what's the process like warming up a metal audience in particular? Because I'm sure that there's some preconceived notions people could have that are wrong, and some that might be accurate.
Yeah. I think you got to come out with the energy and the attitude of an opening band. Yeah. You got to come out and deliver, and hey, I'm gonna steal a couple of their fans, when I go out there, or hopefully even more.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. But the job is to warm up the crowd for the boss. Yeah. And I know that. So it's like, hey man, if I can come off stage and I got some good laughs out there in the crowd, Father Zakk is happy, the band's happy, I'm low maintenance on the tour, they don't have to have 5 other guys on the bus with them with all their baggage and all their drama. Yeah. I just put my dirty jokes in my pocket and we go.
Right. So was that a conversation you had with Zakk too about the material maybe not being as dirty, or was that not discussed this tour?
Not discussed at all.
Okay, because Zakk doesn't really care, right?
No, he's a caveman, Yeah. He loves that stuff, and, he's, the truth is, like, he's the funniest guy in the bus, So,
yeah.
But he can't do both jobs, He's got solos to warm up for, but that's the good thing, is he's just got such a great sense of humor that this is a natural fit for him.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a matter of lining up both of our schedules. And obviously Ozzy unfortunately had to cancel the 2019 dates. So Zakk and you know, those guys were like, well, let's go out and do our Zakk Sabbath for the summer. So they call, you know, Mrs. O, and they call the, you know, Ozzy and those guys and say, hey, is it cool if we go out? And they go, yeah. And they go, we're going to bring brother Don out with us. And they gave the blessing. So here we are.
Yeah, I really think that's interesting too, because you mentioned like the whole camp sort of goes through one another. It's a joint effort. Is that because from the outside it seems like Zakk and the Osbourne family are very tight knit? Is that really the case? That's what I hear.
Yeah, well, they've got history since '87, and you know Zack's been in and out of the band.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never lost touch. They never lost their love for each other.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, everything goes through them, you know. So when I got the offer through the agent, I was like, you know, that means a lot to me because I know that goes all the way to the top.
Yes.
You know, so is that cool if we bring, you know, Father Don out with us? And like, yeah, let's do it. That'll be fun. So yeah, and it's like I said on stage, it's just pranks all the time. It's just ball busting. Mm-hmm. You know, it's endless. And you know, Zakk doesn't drink anymore. He's sober now. But caffeinated Zakk is just as crazy as drunk Zakk.
Yeah, that's a drug.
Yeah, and it's so funny, man. The tour bus, there's like 6 coffee machines going. Like when you wake up in the morning, it's like a coffee factory.
It's his coffee, right?
Yeah, the Valhalla Java, which
Yeah.
is actually really great.
Yeah.
And you know, we're blowing fuses on the bus, and because there's so much coffee brewing at one time. But he's you'll see tonight. Obviously, his playing and his singing is just so good, and another level. And you know, he could have stayed home this summer and just relaxed, but we're out on the road. I'm really psyched.
Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the most interesting things about a run like this is that I don't think anybody involved needs to do this. Everybody wants to do this, and that's what makes it so much fun. You know, it seems so cool. And the reason I asked about, you know, Zakk and the Osbournes being so tight knit is because you hear about a lot of groups like Metallica, Motley Crue, when they're off stage, they don't really interact. Do you think it's hard to avoid that in show business? Because you've had co-hosts and stuff. Like, is it hard to keep it a nice working relationship?
It definitely helps if you like the people you're out with. Yeah. But, you know, when the almighty dollar calls, you know, I've never made Motley Crue money. But, you know, obviously that last tour was let's make as much money as we possibly can, which is fine. No problem. But, yeah, those guys did, you know, there wasn't a lot of brotherhood there. Mm-hmm. It was let's go out and play the shows and get it over with and get done. Yeah. So, you know, it's definitely for me, you know, I've never been driven by money in my life. Again, I've never made that kind of money, but when you're on a bus with these guys and it's just laughs the whole time, that's the best thing. Because why else are we doing this? Why are we driving around North America together if we're not gonna have a good time?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's just pure fun, man. And I don't have to worry about feeling like an outsider. Oh, the comedian, just let him go in his bunk or whatever. It's like, you know, we all get up, we get in the front lounge, we start breaking balls 10 o'clock in the morning, and it goes until, 2 or 3 in the morning.
That's so cool. It sounds like a crazy party. Talk to me about your roots in comedy. Did you start in New Jersey?
Started in Jersey. You know, my co-host from that metal show, Jim Florentine, was sort of my mentor. And, when I was a kid, Kiss Destroyer and George Carlin, Occupation Fool were my first 2 albums.
Nice.
So for me, those are always my loves. Comedy and hard rock or metal. And so, like I said, man, when I started, making a little bit of a living as a comedian, I was like, man, now I can start thinking about mixing these worlds in,
Yeah.
Because I saw Andrew Dice Clay open for Guns N' Roses at the Rose Bowl, 100,000 people. Sam Kinison, doing the Wild Thing video with all the Sunset Strip rockers. Yeah. Even Bobcat Goldthwait did the first Nirvana tour in America.
Yeah.
And then opening for bands became completely uncool for over 20 years.
Really?
So I was like, there's a handful of us in America, and I know there's some here in Canada as well, who were like, myself, Jim Florentine, Jim Brewer, Brian Posehn, who started getting asked to go out and open for bands. And it was such a natural fit, that it was like, why wouldn't we do this? Look, yes. Do you like playing a comedy club where people are seated at tables, they're having a reasonable amount of drinks? Comedy's hard enough, right?
Yes.
I'm like, no, let's do it in a rock club. Let's go out on the road with the band. And like I said, man, you got to bring the energy to it. I don't do anything political. I don't to preach to anybody. I don't do things about being a parent or, how cute my kids are, any of that stuff. I talk about Motley Crue. I talk about Sabbath. I talk about Zakk. I pretty much keep it to what the audience, that fits with this audience. Yeah. And they come see me if they want to come see me in a comedy club, they'll see a little bit of that, but they'll also see a little bit of a broader set. Right. Just talking more about my life, my relationships, and all my countless screw-ups over the years.
I think that's really smart, and that's really good, because you know that the audience is adaptable to comedy, but they didn't show up for comedy, so you're almost adapting to them in the same way that they are to you, and it's like a mutual relationship. I think that's incredible.
I think the big thing for me doing this is I just said, look, just put me in the advertising. Yeah. Just give me a fighting chance. Yeah. Let people know I'm going to be doing comedy. Then, and I always post the set times, and I always say, I'll be on at 8 o'clock or whatever if you want to see/avoid me. And then Zakk Sabbath will be on at 9. I have no illusion. Again, I see it as an opening act. Some people go, oh yeah, let's check out the opening act. And some people, they just want the headliner, and that's fine. So I give people the choice. You want to come in and check it out? That's fine. If you don't, you can go out to the bar and ignore me, like my parents did when I was a kid.
Fair enough. And in terms of after the shows, you spend a lot of time with the fans in the crowd. I know it's the second run, but generally with something like this, is there a lot of interaction? Yeah,
well, we'll go out to the merch booth. Zakk probably won't come out, but JD and Joey will come out, and we'll go hang with the fans at the merch booth. But when we get done here, I'm gonna go out and watch. I want to go stand by the soundboard or stand in the back by the bar and watch, because like I said, this is great for me. I get to listen to Sabbath songs every night for the next month. It never gets old.
And did you ever think that Zakk Wylde would be in a sort of boss position? Because you said it's all about pleasing the boss.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't throw his weight around like your stereotypical boss. My boss is an asshole or whatever. It's like, nah, my boss is cool as shit, man. Yeah. He's fucking Zakk Wylde, and he's just such a good dude, man. And like I said, he's in such a good place in his life. His wife was out with us a couple nights ago out in Vancouver, and he's like a real family man and stuff, Yeah. So those things are super important to him. Yeah. And not only obviously his family that he's created with his children and his wife, but his touring family. Yeah. He's had Phil as security guy for 19 years now. Wow. So he's very loyal to people, and he would not take somebody out on the road or on the bus with him that he didn't like. So, like I said, it means a lot to me, and I appreciate to be out with them.
That's very cool. I love that. In closing, just any thoughts on what's going on in rock and roll right now? I know we have a lot of sort of things happening. Any thoughts?
I'm more into what's going on in terms of the younger bands. Yeah. Because Greta Van Fleet, whether you like them or not, they've opened up a lane. And now all these bands are pouring into that lane, young rock bands, and girls are coming to the shows again, and now it's getting respect again. So every day I discover new young bands. There's a band called Them Evils that I toured with from Orange County, California, who are great, 70s vibe, but they're 22, 23-year-old guys, hungry, kick ass every night. Archer Nation, a young band, thrash band, like in the Megadeth vein. And then you could also go the alternative way. There's Fever 333, you got Code Orange, you got Alien Weaponry. I mean, there are so many young bands making a mark now, and I really feel like we're in the middle of a rock revolution. And obviously, as someone who's loved this music, as someone who did a TV show for 14 seasons, who hopefully helped to keep bands afloat and keep bands alive,
100%.
And also introduce new bands. Yeah. This is so great that this is happening now. So, everyone just get out and, I know, listen, we don't all have enough money to go out every night, but if you can get out and support these bands, go out and do it, because you're going to see the heyday again if we get out and do it. Get a cheap ticket, get to a show. If you can buy a T-shirt, you'll help pay for gas. That's what these guys do, man. These young bands, man, what they make on merch, that's how they get to the next town, man. That pays for their gas, man. So, if you can get out and support once in a while, do it. You'll be part of the revolution.
100%. Don, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and good luck on the rest of the run.
Thanks, Cassius.